Hello, Math 3 Plus. Welcome to lesson 1.3b, where we're going to be dealing with percentiles. And you're going to be able to use a z-score table to determine percentiles. You probably heard this word before, and heaven knows we've been dealing with a lot of percents over the last couple of days. And that's certainly not going to change. But when I'm talking about a percentile, I am talking about a data value for which a certain percentage of the data is below the data value in a normal distribution. So for example, one of the most common places you see this, you would have seen this, would be on test scores, right? You get your results back and they say, good job, you're in the 80th percentile. Well, what does that mean, right? You get your SAT scores, here's your score, and they tell you you're in the 80th percentile. That means that 80% of the students who took that test scored less than you. So that's not too bad. That's pretty darn good. And that's all we're talking about when we're talking about a percentile. You got, your 400 on your math portion of the SATs. That puts you in the 80th percentile. Great. 80% of the students then scored less than 400. Hope that gives you an idea of what we're talking about. So with this idea in mind, let's try a little problem here. I've got some questions just to kind of make you think, kind of get your brain going in the right direction. As always, hit pause to try these out and then hit play when you're ready to check your work. So we're talking about sending text messages. I send a lot, but I suspect you guys send more text messages than I do. And so the number of text messages teens send and receive every day can be represented as a normal distribution with a mean of 100 text messages per day and a standard deviation of 25 texts per day. I hope your parents have a really good plan. So let's start by calculating the 50th percentile for this data set. Well, let's give this some thought. Where would the 50th percentile be? Where would halfway be on your normal curve? Well, it would be at the mean. So the 50th percentile would be 100 text messages. Your mean is always going to be at the 50th percentile because your mean is always going to be in the middle. It's always going to be at that halfway point. So the next question is, would a teen in the 90th percentile send and receive more or fewer than 100 text messages per day? Well, 90th percentile is more than 50%. That's more than the mean. So you'd be sending more than 100 text messages per day. And our last question, would a teen in the 10th percentile send and receive more or fewer than 100 text messages per day? Well, the 10th percentile is lower than the 50th percentile, so that means you would be receiving fewer than 100 text messages per day if you were in the 10th percentile. So armed with this information, let's take this a step further. What if I wanted to know specifically how many text messages are sent for that 90th percentile text messenger? Before you get too crazy, you're going to use your z-score table. You're going to want to pull that out. And first, you want to know the percent value in the z-score table that is closest to 90%. So you're going to want to grab your z-score table. You're going to look for that 90%. You might not find it exactly, but look for what's close and then get the z-score from it. So hit pause, grab your z-score table and try it out, and then hit play when you're ready to check your work. So if you grabbed your z-score table, I don't know about you, but I discovered, first of all, I had to turn into a decimal. There were no percents there. So 0.9000. I also realized it wasn't there, but I got super close. I got to 0.8997. Super close. And so when I found that value on my z-score table, and I had to look a little bit, I then managed to come check to the left, go all the way up, and I realized that the z-score was 1.28. So now I'm going to take this a step further, and I got another question for you. Now that I know that the z-score is 1.28, I know what the mean is, I know what the standard deviation is. See if you can work backwards from what we did in the last lesson to find out how many text messages were sent. Hit pause, try it out, and then hit play when you're ready to check your work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to that z-score formula we had. because I know a lot of things. I know the z-score. I can plug that 1.28 right in. I know what the mean is. The mean is 100 text messages, so I can plug that right in. And I know what the standard deviation is. It's 25, so I can plug that in too. And now that you're looking at it, you realize how easy this problem is. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 25 just to get that off the bottom. Good thing I had a calculator because I would not have guessed 32 off the top of my head. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 100 to the other side to get x all alone. And it looks like this means that a teen in the 90th percentile is sending about 132 text messages per day. So now that you've got the idea that you have to grab your z-score table and find the closest you can get to that percentile, find the z-score, plug it in, and work your way backwards. Now that you've got the idea, try it out one more time. Hit pause to try it out, and then hit play when you're ready to check your work. So I'm looking at my z-score table. I'm looking for 0.2000. I couldn't quite find it, but ooh, I got close. I found 0.2005 on my z-score table. And so that means that I was able to find out that the z-score was negative 0.84. It's interesting that it's negative, but we're cool with z-scores being negative. We know that standard deviations can move to the right or to the left, be more than or less than. So that's okay. I'm going to bust out my z-score finding trick. So negative 0.84 is my z-score, 100 is my mean, 25 is my standard deviation. I'm definitely pulling out a calculator here. I'm going to multiply both sides by 25 to get that off the bottom. I'm going to add 100 to the other side, so be careful on that. You have a negative 21 plus a positive 100, which means if you're in the 20th percentile, you're sending about 79 text messages per day. So I hope you found this lesson helpful. I hope we answered all your questions. If you have more questions, please email me. I will help you out. And of course, you're always welcome to come in Tuesdays and Thursdays after school for a little bit extra. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.